Everyone, hope everything is going well. You know, times are crazy when my video gets linked up in a Sports Illustrated collectibles article. Yes, it is part of the collectibles part of their website, but the fact is, I made it. I made it. All the haters out there, thank you for making it possible because when you comment, you actually help the algorithm. Even though I said that, hey, I think I could maybe shadow ban, but even if I'm shadow banned, word's still getting out of my videos. Video by Horatio Ruiz, and it is follow the advice of hobby influencers. Influencers in the sports card industry vary in size and scope. Some influencers focus on product releases, others on vintage cards, and some as watchdogs for the industry. Consuming content about sports cars is a good way to stay up to date, but be cautious, keyword, with the media you consume. Exactly. 100%. And in this article, he was just talking about the early get go during the pandemic and hobby influencers became a lot more popular during the COVID boom, which makes sense. And then he says, should we listen to them? He says, at times, yeah, but sometimes no. And then he links to Dan the Cardman's video where he's basically ripping on influencers and how they're flip flopping. The author of this article did say, hey, keep an open mind, but you have to make sure that you have some sort of healthy, as he says it, healthy dose of skepticism with anything that you hear, right? Like when I do the lives, okay, some of the stuff sounds crazy, but we're just talking out loud, thinking out loud. And for some reason, people have issues with that. I remember people were losing their mind, after that card porn situation. They're saying, oh, people were losing their minds on me. They had more anger towards me than card porn. Just think about that. I just remember that. That was an interesting time. This author links to Cage Lawyer, Lend an Ear to Skepticism. It's not always about sunshine and rainbows out there. That's what he says. People that constantly keep from criticizing companies or people that are not doing the right thing should be kept at an arm's distance. Okay. And then he goes on to saying that the hobby is very close and a lot of people he's noticed the same thing I've observed that they have messages that sound the same. So it seems that if you notice over here, you look at Dan's video, this author is going after Dan the card, not Dan the card man, but in this video that he shared of Dan, it's in a commercial now. He showed Jeff Wilson's face. And over here, I think this guy is taking a shot at Jeff Wilson because it says beware of pumps and dumps. Now, I did a question mark regarding, Star 84, was it a pump and dump? And one of the examples that I used in the video was Jeff Wilson and how he was acting during that situation. And to recap what he did for those that didn't watch, he did a video on IG saying $144,000 card profit, referring to the card that he bought in 2022. But he didn't mention in his IG post or in the comments that he sold the card. And eventually, people online, as I discussed in that video, figured out he most likely did sell the card. I think it was to the CEO of Human Design from my memory, and he would not acknowledge that. And then what made matters worse, he did a separate video showing a card of Michael Jordan, star 84, but that card was not the same card that he bought in 2022 because I zoomed in and I looked at it and like, hey, look, that's not the same card. So what ended up happening was because of Dan the Card Man. Dan the Card Man reached out and Jeff Wilson finally admitted that, hey, look, there was a private sale. He couldn't mention it was a private sale early on, but he sold that card. After he sold that card, um, he ended up buying another card. And we don't know the cost basis of when he bought the second card. And what made matters even crazier is that $144,000 profit that he was talking about, that was based on a sale on Golden, and that's only one sale. So this was a crazy story out there with Jeff Wilson. He was deceitful, and it's unfortunate he wasn't honest. And a lot of people thought that he was pumping and dumping because he was not being honest. And it's fair to assume that, hey, look, if you're not being honest about this, then what's going on? Are you trying to pump up the market and hype it up like the great curator used to do in 2021, 2022? I think that's what he was doing. He really hasn't publicly talked about it. He just sent a message to Dan, not sent a message. Dan asked him, and he said that, hey, look, I sold the first card and then bought a second one. And he just used it as an excuse that the first card was a private sale. It's just weird. But this author is catching on to Jeff Wilson's hanky panky. So he says in this article, when you see a certain player or type of card gaining steam on social media, you can bet it's an organized campaign to pump up the value of the card. Dude, so the mainstream media is calling out pumping and dumping stuff that I was labeled as a kook a couple years ago. I said that, hey, look, they're trying to pump and dump Star Wars cards. And great curator, the things he was doing, and what I've noticed from him before, he was just being shady, in my opinion. I had people do a live on me saying I was a nut job on that. That's what it went to a few years ago. So I've been through a lot of craziness in this hobby, and I'm not a big channel. But the thing is, I won't hold back on what I believe this truth is, or my version of the truth. So this is just interesting. The goal is to create and target marks. A marks is someone that will fall for the message, giving the pumper an opportunity to dump their cards on them at inflated value. Wow. Good job with this from what this author is saying. And he calls out card porn. And this is what is it? Junk Wax Hero? Yeah. Even watchdogs need watchdogs, right? Exactly. Because card porn was doing all sorts of craziness. David Kahana was probably the first one to catch on to him. And then I eventually caught on afterwards. But man, and we all know about this. He created a fake charity to help authenticate a fake photo of a Michael Jordan jersey so he could make money. Now, regarding this, he says Juan Garcia erased all his social media accounts as hasn't been heard since. I disagree. I mean, if you go to what's that art page? Art. What was it? What's that? I forgot what's that art page that Juan Garcia runs or food porn. He runs food porn, right? This is one of Juan Garcia's social media accounts. And who does he follow? We could probably find this out. I'm sure you could probably sort through this and find some of the accounts out there. He does follow his own art page. I forgot what it's called. I was doing videos on this a while back. But ultimately, like there are millions of people that still follow this guy. And allegedly, Juan Garcia is now in Mexico. I hope this journalist tracks this guy down. Juan Garcia, food porn, Mexico. Let's see what we get here. Food, food porn. Let's see this. I wonder. I know that this guy had information that he was in Mexico. Global, what was it? Global, global art. Street art global. Yeah, that's what it is. Street art global. So if Mr. Ruiz is watching, maybe he could do some research on street art global because that's what it is. So his food porn is still there, right? Street art globe. That's what it is. This is Juan Garcia's other account. Okay. So he erased all his social media accounts. No, it's still there, but he erased all his sports card amount or accounts. Mexico. I think he deleted that because what ended up happening was I had an Instagram post that shows that this dude, Juan Garcia, is still lurking around. And ultimately, he if he comes to the US, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to jail. But once again, the longer he is out of this country, the less likely he's going to be charged. So I think that's what he's doing. I think eventually he's going to start scamming people again because he's just a piece of, what. I can't find the post, but I'll dig through it. And maybe if I ever get in contact with this journalist, I'll just tell him, hey, look, this Juan Garcia guy, he's probably in Mexico based on what I've looked at and what I've been sent. And what's quite crazy is beware of celebrity. So he's hinting that there's loaded boxes, right? All those people that give me baloney about loaded boxes, just like what's his name? Lamim James, right? Didn't Lamim James do like a post on me? I know I passed it. I mean, look, where did Lamim James do that? I keep screenshots of all of these. Let's go through my Instagram if you haven't seen Instagram. Yeah, follow me on Instagram if you haven't followed me there. Yeah. So this was Lamim James' post on me. Say hobby watchdogs when a small breaker pulls a product hit and doesn't fit their loaded box narrative. Well, let's look at this. Antoine Griezmann pulls 101 Jackie Robinson with Fanatics. Tell me how that happens. All you loaded boxes people that are denying this, all the deniers, where are you? Oh, it doesn't fit the narrative. Oh, yeah, that's right. You have to suck up the Fanatics. Sorry, I forgot. So when you see something like this, it makes you go, this is what he said. Watching soccer star Antoine Griezmann pull 101 Jackie Robinson cut autograph on camera makes you go, it's possible it's a legitimate pull by Griezmann, but as stated before, always keep a healthy dose of skepticism. He thinks there's loaded boxes, in my opinion, and he also thinks Jeff Wilson is doing hanky panky. Because you could see that the original video of Dan here has a picture of Jeff Wilson, another picture of Jeff Wilson here. He thought he was pumping it up. This guy probably is one of the few journalists willing to speak up about Jeff Wilson. He's doing so in a polite manner. That's what it looks like. That's a good thing. This guy's on mainstream media, sports card or Sports Illustrated collectible site. The tides have turned. And we're not even talking about the presidential election. We're just talking about this hobby. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Talk to you later. See ya. Bye.